Yo, 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 welcome back to the Further Your Lifestyle podcast, conversations on lifestyle, passions, and hustles. My name's Chris Furlong. I am the host of the Further Your Lifestyle podcast, and once again, I'm so thrilled, so excited to have you back here and also to introduce to you our guest for this week's episode, and that is Aaron Maltz. Now, I met Aaron about a year ago, back in 2020, via YouTube, in the YouTube community, and we kind of just hit it off. And, you know, ever since we met, we've always been having calls and conversations, and he is a really, really good mate of mine now, and, you know, bestest pal kind of guy. And what I love so much about Aaron is, if you've ever heard the saying of put in the reps, well, Aaron is the guy that is proving that as he walks the talk. And in two ways. If you've seen his picture, if you've seen the cover art for this episode, you can see he is a fit fella. He knows what he is doing when it comes to personal training, comes to the gym, and really getting the best bang for buck out of his body in terms of strength and exercising. But at the same time, with that in parallel, he's someone that has shown up day by day, put in the consistency, put in the work, and has created something that he is passionate about and built something with purpose. And, you know, Aaron is the founder and owner of a business called Fitlabb, which we dive into in this episode. But what I love so much about him is that he brings that passion, he brings that purpose and that drive to help others and to bring value, whether it's in a small conversation, in a long conversation, or in all that he is doing. And I guess his end goal or intent is to really help people find and develop that balanced lifestyle. And we dive into all things Aaron in this episode, you know, his upbringing, what he went through, what he's done to enable him to achieve what he has to date, and, you know, where he's going, what he's focusing on. And it's a very exciting episode just because I love the guy. You know, he's doing so many amazing things, and he's doing it all himself. He's creating things bottom up and putting in the hard work to make sure he is delivering that 110% in all that he's doing. So get comfortable, get cozy, however you like to listen to the episodes. We are on YouTube, we are on Spotify, we are on Apple Podcasts. But grab a cup of coffee, cup of tea, and let's get into it. Good evening, Aaron. How you doing, mate? It's so good to have you on here.
Thanks, Chris. It's great to see you, and it's my pleasure to be doing this with you. I really appreciate you asking me to join you here tonight.
Oh, you're welcome.
This morning for you.
Yeah, it's morning for me. You're in New York, so it's like almost getting close to midnight.
It's about 10 o'clock right now.
Okay, yeah. Okay. Not too bad. It's a
good thing I'm a night owl.
That's it. I mean, it looks like daylight. If for anyone watching on the visual experience, it does look like it's daylight there, but that's because you've got all the nice gear, all the quality.
Some good lighting all around my office here.
That's it, man. So let's hear about you. You know, in a nutshell, I mean, you're doing a lot of things. You know, you've been a business owner, and you are a business owner now as well. You're a fitness coach. You've done a whole lot of different things, and that's what I love about you. You're all hustle. You show up and you're putting in the reps and you're getting it done in more than one way. You know, it speaks for itself. But let's hear about you, man. What are you all about?
Well, good question. So, you know, in short, thanks for that great introduction, by the way. You know, in short, really, look, I'm still figuring this all out as I go, like any business owner, right? This is my first year in business with Fitlabb. Spent about a year and a half really developing it, researching it, and figuring out the best approach possible. But, you know, looking back at the course of my career, my various career adventures, as I like to call them, I feel like even though some of those things may not have been the right path for me to pursue, they've all given me the skill set and the knowledge that I now needed in order to take this next step, in order to create Fitlabb, which was designed to really help as many people as I possibly can and scale over time to do that. So, you know, while I obviously chose to stop those other endeavors that I took on in the past that were not fitness related, you know, they've all proven to give me some really great knowledge and abilities that are now, you know, bearing fruit and helping me along the path I'm on now. This was always what I was meant to do, helping people and helping them to get healthy and fit. Because I look back, and this is really what also changed the course of my life forever. It really enabled me to, you know, come full circle and not only save my life. You know, I think you know my story, right? It also is on my in a video on my YouTube channel. It talks a little bit about it, but my transformation as a kid and how fitness really saved my life essentially. But it's actually true. Back when I was, in middle school, I was bullied really badly. And for about 3 years, I had no friends, and it was a pretty miserable existence. And, I just had a really rough time. And so I finally came to this head in my life at the time where I had enough. I was fed up. I had enough. And, I've talked about this before, but once or twice, but there was this other boy just like me who was, I think he was I forget now if he was in my grade or a year older, not important, but he also, like me, was bullied really, really badly to the point where he couldn't take it anymore. And he ended up committing suicide. Oh. And I'll never forget this guy. I mean, really shook me up. And that was basically the moment and the experience that made me say, that's it. I'm not going to, go down that path. I'm going to change my life. And I, for a period of time, in 8th grade, I would walk around with taking my glasses off my face, bumping into things, not even being able to see the blackboard. So I had negative impact at first, but at the end of the year in that summer, I got contact lenses finally. I got a wardrobe, and I started to go to the gym, and I fell in love with going to the gym. It sounds silly to say that, but it really was my saving grace, where I went in there, and all the upset and the anger that I had, all the challenges that I faced for all those years, I really was able to funnel it and put it into my workouts. And I didn't realize it at the time. I had no idea actually, but in taking out my frustration and anger in the gym in a productive way, I was actually, using a funny thing. I was using the concept of progressive overload in my workouts because I was pushing myself as hard as I could, right?
Yeah.
And as I was learning how to do everything, no, I didn't know everything what to do at the time, but I was learning quickly. And but I was making great progress because I was pushing myself so hard because I had a goal in mind and I was not going to stop until I achieved it. So lo and behold, that enabled me to change my life, gave me confidence, mental strength, physical strength to really overcome that difficult time in my life. And I grew out of that rough situation and went on to have fitness really become a key aspect of my life and a defining thing of who I am.
Yep.
And, went on to go to college to pursue this as a career, as an exercise science major at Rutgers. Ended up also becoming a teacher for a period of time while I was also a trainer. I was even a trainer when I was in college, helping to pay for some of my bills. But, and I was doing pretty well. So, as a guy in my early to mid 20s, as all my other friends were trying to be attorneys or whatever, doctors or who knows, whatever they were trying to be, anything. A lot of them are either still in school or working, but not making a lot of money. But between both of my jobs, I was making about 6 figures. And, as a guy in my early to mid 20s, that was a lot of money at the time. Now I was working 12 to 15 hours a day, right? I was killing myself, but I could do that at that age. And it was, I was just doing what I enjoyed, doing what I loved, and being successful at it and seeing tangible results. So, unfortunately, I did get derailed from that for a period of time, even though even in between, I was working with some pro athletes and some other big people out there, big names, which was a lot of fun, by the way, and pretty lucrative. But at the same time, I did get derailed a bit, which we'll probably talk about later. But, I did find my way back to doing what I love. And I'm grateful to be here. I'm grateful to be doing this again, because I know this is what I was meant to do with my life.
That's it. I mean, you've summarized it really well. And thank you for sharing your story, because you mentioned at the start, coming back to full circle, right? And there's always, you said it really, really well around that, you didn't realize that all the things that you've gone through, and, we haven't necessarily talked about all the other stuff you've been doing, but they've all played a part into where you are now to enable you to actually, take action, jump straight into Fitlabb and make this all that it is, because you've learned the skills along the way. You've gone through the downs, you've gone through the ups, and now you've really got that focus and understanding of like, this is where I meant to be, this is where I want to be. But it's hindsight, sometimes, if only we knew what I knew now back then, right? Because you could have taken action earlier, but that's not the way it works. And I think that's so important with anyone's journey is we need to go through those moments, whether it is, unfortunately for you, it was getting bullied and then, taking that path into the gym and then getting in there. If you hadn't been in the gym, I'm not saying it was good that you were bullied, but that circumstance, because you took control of it, took action with how you're going to, I guess, use that as a way to fuel yourself to make a change, you're now where you are. Essentially, it's come full circle, right? And now you're helping those, in similar situations, or for weight loss or whatever it may be, which is a beautiful story in itself. Of course, it's that's not a 5-year journey. We're talking what, 20 years probably.
It's been, boy, I know I'm 42. I just turned 42.
Happy
I'm
birthday.
getting old. Thank you. Yeah, it was like a week and a half ago. No, 2 weeks ago. Boy, I'm really getting old. But no, by the way, you did say something I wanted to touch on. You mentioned something about the bullying and how, in a way, it might be a good thing. Look, I wouldn't wish bullying on my worst enemies.
Yeah.
It's a horrible experience. It's terrible, right? No one deserves to get bullied. I don't care who or what they are. No one deserves it. There's no place where this is acceptable. With that said, looking back now in retrospect, now, by the way, I wish I never went through that. Let me just say that again. But in some weird, sick way, I almost have them to thank for where I am at in my life and the person that I am today as well. Because had I not gone through that hardship, I don't know that I would have necessarily gotten into fitness. Had I not gone through that, I might not have this softer side, this feeling for the underdog and wanting to really help people. I mean, that's not true. I may have always wanted to help people because I was always that kind of a person, even as a kid. But I do really believe that it made me have even more purpose in wanting to help people and give back and, do something really positive above anything else in my life. And that's really where I'm at now, trying to, make the world a better place for me being here.
That's it.
In whatever capacity that I can.
And it comes back to kind of like, that cliche saying of like, when life gives you lemons, what are you going to do with them? Right. And it's, and not to put any of, because it's not because of the bullying, yes, that's put you in that circumstance, but it was how you took action, how you took control. Right. And, maybe at the time it was probably just because you wanted to let out the steam, you wanted to let out the anger. Of course, now you can understand it's like how much beneficial that was. Right. But it might not have been planned to that level. Right. Because, obviously being younger and, you're just in the heat of the moment, you're just going to go smash it at the gym, which was the best thing you could do. It's the bigger man approach, right? Walk away and go take your time elsewhere. And you were able to fuel that and leveraging, when life gives you those situations and taking control, taking action, because I mean, we all have consequences from our actions. You could have gone the other route, been depressed. I'm not saying you weren't depressed, but it could have ended really ugly for you. But you were, I guess, encouraged, and obviously you were really, put out by what happened to your friend, which enabled you to say, no, you need to make a difference. And, as hard that is to digest and take in, it's worked out really, really well for you. And for anyone that's listening, this stuff isn't easy, right? Because there's people in these situations all the time, and it's easy for people to say, oh, go take your frustration out somewhere else, go do it somewhere else, or stay strong, or whatever, which, and people do mean it. They mean it to, push through and you can do it. But being on the other side and not experiencing it, it's hard to, it's hard to digest.
I think that to some extent, with, going through hardships, it does harden you up. It does teach you very valuable life lessons. And, I don't know. I think that, like you said, when life throws you lemons, make lemonade out of it.
Yeah.
There's a lot of truth to that, because if you have to, instead of being a victim, allowing yourself to sit there and being a victim, you really have to grab life by the horns, right? Grab the bull by the horns, take control of your fate. Don't just sit idly and say, oh man, this stinks. I got a bad issue I'm dealing with, or I have a problem here, or whatever it is. Everyone has to always realize they are in control of their own fate. Okay. And that's something I speak about all the time, right? I tell my kids, I tell my students, I tell my clients, everyone is really in control of their own fate.
100%.
Sitting down and just letting things defeat you is never the right way to handle things, because you're never going to get the right outcome. You're never going to get a positive outcome by doing that. You know, you can believe it all you want. You can hope for things all you want, but unless you take action on what outcome you want to have happen for yourself, nothing will change, because, unless you actually get up off your butt and make it happen. So.
And you've said it so well, and it's a really good segue, because obviously you've talked about your backstory, growing up and you were bullied, and then you've got into fitness, but obviously there's a lot more that you've also done, right? You've been into the real estate world, you've done the celebrity coaching, you've done so much there. So let's dive into that a bit, because you did all these things, you were really successful, but as you said yourself, you are now where you realize where you should have been and where you want to be, which is, and we'll talk about your business Fitlabb shortly, but so let's dive into that. So what else have you kind of done, in your career or over the years, and how did you end up to now starting your own business, Fitlabb?
Question. So I told you a little bit already about how I was a teacher and a trainer, and how I moved on. So I ended up, also, like I said, working with some professional athletes and whatnot. And that was great. I love that. And that kind of evolved partially by luck and chance. And also partially because over the years, I worked with a lot of great people and built up a great reputation for myself, right? In my area that I was working with clients in. And I worked with some of the right people who had connections, and it all kind of just by potluck kind of came to fruition. And then from there blew up a little. But, look, in life, sometimes you make decisions to change courses, to change career paths, or change your personal course in life. And, you might think it's the right move at times. And sometimes afterwards you realize it's not. And, there's all kinds of pressures in life. It could be family, it could be societal, could be anything else as well. And this is not exclusive to me. This is everybody and anybody goes through these issues, right? And faces these kinds of things. And I'm guilty as charged of that too. And I guess I gave into some of those pressures that were kind of put on me by societal things and whatever. And I opted to change careers for a period of time, and it was both a good and a bad situation for me, right? Good because it gave me a lot of insight into how business works, into how other aspects of the business world and life and everything works. And I met a lot of amazing people, right? And I've got a lot of amazing experiences in dealing with direct business relationships, transactions, marketing, you name it, everything across the board, right? It also really toughened me up quite a bit, because let me tell you, real estate, it's a tough job. I was in commercial real estate. It's a dog eat dog world. You're basically, and I was in commercial real estate in Manhattan. So, you're really swimming in normally real estate, you're swimming with sharks, or piranhas or whatever you want to call it. But in New York, you're swimming with a pool of great white sharks. Okay. And it's a really rough business. It really is. Unless you're in it, you don't understand it. I mean, I think there's a number, this is what I've heard over the years, and I've seen it kind of too, where people start in the business and, there's, I think, like a 90% rate of people just getting out of the business within their first 2 or 3 years. So maybe only 10% of the people who start make it 3 years or more. And the reason for that is it takes about 3 years to really make any money. And so it's a very difficult situation. So luckily at that point, I already had money behind me and saved up from my previous successes, but that was dwindling down towards my 3-year point. And I remember sweating bullets at one point. I think I was actually watching the movie The Pursuit of Happiness with Will Smith. And I literally, even though I wasn't exactly in his situation where I was almost homeless, but at the same time, I was watching my bank account.
You could feel it coming
down. I was sweating watching that movie in the theater. Literally, I was stressed out. And it hit me like, oh my God, this is crazy. Like this could happen. Like I need to, make something happen here. And by the way, I wasn't thrilled with that, that profession. I felt like I was going to war every day. I mean, it is what it is. It wasn't terrible by any means. And there were a lot of things that I also did like about it. So I don't want to like poo poo the whole thing, but at the same time, it wasn't me. It was trying to fit a square peg through a round hole.
Jeepers.
It
Yeah, yeah,
just
yeah.
wasn't me. It wasn't
Yep.
me. And it took me, me being myself, who doesn't like to admit defeat, who doesn't like to say I failed. It took me more years than it should have to finally say, I'm throwing in the towel. This is not for me. I kept on pushing and wanting to make it work somehow.
Yep.
And it wasn't me.
And
So,
and just with that though, but why do you think it is that you kept pushing for it? Was it to prove something? Was it the money? Was it the lifestyle? Or was it just because you were with the network of people? Like, what was it that was, because obviously you were good at it if you kept doing it, but it wasn't something that you loved doing. So why were you kind of sticking in it?
well, that's a good question. And I think there's no one exact right answer to it. But number one, I've never been a quitter.
Yep.
Okay. I've
Okay.
never been someone who likes to just quit and throw in the towel easily. I like to make absolutely certain that I've exhausted all efforts
Yep.
before I change course and throw in the
Yep.
towel on something. Right. I don't like admitting defeat. It's not an ego thing because I don't really have an ego, that's for sure. But I really do not like to just bail on something that I've really invested
Yep.
in and gone all in on, which that I did with that at the time. So I think part of it was that. Another big part of it, I think, was, it's a career where you really can make a lot of money. And I
Yeah.
think that pursuing that dream, and I did, by the way, I did have a couple really good years there at least, right? I mean, but I wasn't by any means the most successful in that business. I did well, but a lot of people did a lot better than me. But then again, I wasn't part of the 10% that bailed. I'm sorry, part of the 90%
Yeah.
that
Yeah. Yeah.
bailed.
Yeah.
At the 3 year point, all of a sudden, I just started making money and things started happening. And I had I'd say about 3 pretty good years by my standards, maybe not
Yep.
by some other people who make millions of dollars a year in that business, but I was, I was content with it. But anyway, I felt like it was a great opportunity that I did not feel I was ready to just turn away from, because maybe it would work out. Maybe
Yep.
I would finally start really enjoying it. Maybe if I continued, it wasn't for the right reasons looking back.
Yeah.
And
Yep.
that was, I think, a big part of it. So, I'm glad I finally did come to this conclusion, and that my wife also was supportive of this, and even, pushed me to make the right choice in the
Yep.
end. I'm grateful for that. And, it was a hard choice to come and make, but in the end, I left it. I ended up doing a couple other career adventures, as I like to call them. And, after that, before Fitlab, and again, one of them was a lot of fun. I ended up running a McLaren dealership, the
Oh,
British
that's right.
sports car
Yep.
company. So that was actually a lot of fun until it wasn't. But that was, I actually for the most part enjoyed that job. Though again, I didn't realize it 100% what I was signing up for, not having been in that business.
Yep.
Again, what happened, I had to work 6 days a week,
Yeah.
most weeks. On paper, I was supposed to work 5 days, but really it's a 6 day a week job. And very often, more times than not, well, I shouldn't say that. Many weeks though, I did work 7 days a week, and I had two little kids at home.
Yeah.
One who was, son who was just born like a year before, and my older one was like 3 or 4, whatever it was, at around that time. And I had to work on Saturdays, every Saturday, all day into the evening. So I missed that golden day with them.
Yep.
And then on Sundays, sometimes I had to work too for different events that might be happening, which tended to happen in that industry because you're in the high end market. So I was missing a lot of family time. I was missing tons of free time. And it's not an industry that really cares about your time, your welfare, your
Yep.
happiness.
The
It's just a
work-life
grind.
balance.
Yeah, you're only as good in that business as your last month,
Yep.
honestly. And in that business, there's an entire season which is quiet. So, even though it's expected, they forget that, like, oh, well, okay, the winter, you're not going to sell anything, really.
Yep.
It's just a hard business. So anyway, I did something else. And after that, I was head of investor development for a tech startup. And it was a cool concept. I enjoyed it. I enjoyed helping them build the business. And, but again, ultimately that ended. So and there were a few things that with that and other things in the past where I got stabbed in the back, and I was like, I just got so fed up. So what caused me to finally come full circle and come back to fitness to create Fitlabb was, I remember when the final thing kind of came to hit me, right? Where I finally, took a big hit and was very frustrated with how things went with the last gig I had. In the end, I remember for about a month, it was really hard to get out of bed in the morning because I just felt so depressed.
Right.
Like, geez, man, what do I do? What do I do with my life? Like, I didn't have a clear direction anymore at that point. I thought the fitness thing was behind me at that point. It's a couple of years already now that I wasn't working with working with my big clients anymore.
Yeah.
And, I just said, I just don't know what to do. Right. So, and I finally made the conscious decision to start meeting with a career counselor.
Okay.
And I then got out of bed with a purpose. And I said, I met with the guy twice a week. And I went in there with the decision that I'm going to figure out my life. And I literally deconstructed myself every time I met with him. And over the course of the next month, I literally was deconstructing myself, figuring out what drives me, what motivates me, where do I get that fire in my belly from, right?
That's good. That's good.
What gets me up in the morning, gets me excited. And I kept coming back to fitness. And I realized, okay, I don't want to go back to being like a one-on-one trainer.
Yep.
For many reasons. I didn't see that being the future of the business, right? Of that whole industry. I noticed what was going on social media. I noticed what was going on with online fitness and stuff already. It was just the very beginning of it at that time. And so this was almost about 3 years ago, give or take. I said that, I think online, I have to figure out how I'll do it. But online is really where I need to be. And, now I'd been charging my clients before as a trainer when I really reached the peak of my career as a fitness professional. I was charging $225 to $250 an hour for my services. Okay. But I also realized I'm really missing the mark because while I love working with these clients and it's great, and obviously it was, my services were worth paying for, I wouldn't be able to get paid what I was. I also realized that there's a huge percentage of the population who needs help, who cannot afford anything like what I was charging.
100%.
Maybe they can't even afford normal training rates, which are on the low end, $60 a session, on the high end, 150 or 250 or whatever for, if you're going up to like where I was, but the average is probably 100 to 120 an hour. And, most people can't afford that.
No.
So I wanted to create something, and this is way before, this whole last year, what happened in the world. So way before any of that happened. So it wasn't even a thought, obviously. What I did was I said, I need to create something that is inclusive, that democratizes access to quality fitness, professionals and instruction and help. And not in like the standard template kind of a way, not in the way that every other influencer was doing, right? Promising, custom whatever, but not actually, providing that. So a lot of false advertising out there, by the way. So I said, okay, I'm going to figure this out. And it took me a little longer than I wanted to, but I really laid the groundwork properly. I hired all these other coaches who were really just more or less influencers, not really coaches. I wanted to see what was out there, what they were doing. And that was how I figured. I was thinking, oh, this is going to be hard for me to figure out how to, how to build this business to be better than everyone else. Well, it wasn't hard at all, because all I had to do was hire these guys and spend a little bit of money to realize just how bad the services that were out there were. It wasn't hard at all to figure out how to be better than them, but I still wanted to be a giant step further. So I did. So I invested in this. I came up with a great platform. I designed a really high-end website, very professional looking. I don't know anyone else out there that in the industry that has a website like mine. So I'm sure there may be some, I just don't know them, but it's just, I really wanted to have this be a full effort rather than something that is not sustainable long term,
Yep.
rather than something that's just a fly by night type of business, right? So I wanted this to be long term, sustainable, and something that really adds tremendous value and at a reasonable price, especially starting out the first year.
Yep.
So that's really how it all came about.
It's awesome. And I think, there's obviously, as we said, folks, this is over 20 years of getting to this point and realization, and then, taking the steps and actions. But it really comes down to putting in the reps, going through it. And even though you were going through the grind of, to a job potentially that you didn't like, and then you went to another job thinking it was going to get better, and then you were in the same situation again. I think it takes a lot of, it takes, you have to be humble to then step away and get someone like a career counselor, because I know that's not easy. Like it's tough, especially, in this day and age. We all want to, I want to be successful. I want to do it myself. I want to, do it, whether it is pride or maybe it's a manly thing, but also it's just because we're so saturated with seeing what other people are doing that we want to show that we can do it ourselves. And to go do that, I think it's really, really encouraging. And I think anyone that's listening should take that advice as well. It's always key to be chatting to someone else. And maybe it doesn't have to be a career counselor. It can be just someone else who is a mentor, someone else that's been in the industry, or someone else that has a complete different perspective. And I think that's key. And you to do that is then awesome, because if you hadn't, you probably wouldn't have taken all those actions to list out what do you want, where do you want to be, what do you love, what are the things you're good at, and you probably would have just continued to go through the grind. But now flash forward, you went through that and you've kicked off something which is great, which is Fitlabb. And I really want you to kind of pitch. So what is Fitlabb? Pitch it to us, or for anyone that has no context, what is Fitlabb?
Sure. So Fitlab really comes down to what I stand for in my whole life, and what I, who I am at my core as well. And it really comes down to just democratizing access to quality fitness and nutrition coaching services, right? That's it at its core. I plan to expand into other areas in the future, maybe bringing on, mental health professionals at some point, expanding the repertoire of other professionals in the fitness and nutrition space over time as we scale. But, also, look, there's so much misinformation out there, so much. There's like an ocean of misinformation and all these little streams of quality information. It's sad that it's like that. You would think it would be the opposite. But what it comes down to is people out there, fitness influencers especially, are preying on beginners, preying on people who don't have an understanding or knowledge base on really what the right path is and how to achieve their goals in a healthy, enjoyable, and sustainable way. They just show these things that look cool on camera. They want to be, show these flashy things that look great. I'm sure all the people I'm talking about, right? And it's all bravado and ego and showing off and whatever.
It's a very visual industry as well.
Yes. Yeah. Oh yeah. So, look, I had to be in at least decent shape in order to enter the industry. You can't be a fitness professional, in my opinion, and be, look, there are people who may be out of shape and that do it. But in order to really inspire people, yes, you probably should be in at least some decent shape.
But, it puts some, talk behind the walk, right? Yeah. I mean, some walk behind
exactly.
the talk.
You have to have shown that, look, you've achieved something already yourself. Having said that, it goes way beyond that. Okay. Anyone can get in shape. Anyone can be in physically great condition if they put in the work and the effort. It doesn't mean they're an expert. It doesn't mean they are a professional.
That's true.
Okay. So it just means they look great. They've put in the work, but they may not have a full
100%.
understanding how they've gotten there. Maybe they were genetically blessed. Maybe they were just have a great metabolism, or whatever. They were an athlete or something.
And just on that, just to be very clear for people, so an example, I can run a marathon, but that means I'm not professional. I'm not the pro. People ask me how did you do this? And it's well, followed a plan. I followed the steps, but I'm not going to go out and say, people pay me, I'm going to teach you how to run a marathon, because I don't feel I have that credibility and I don't know the detail. But then on the contrary, what you're kind of saying is the industry is a bit overwhelmed and saturated with that kind of stuff. Is everyone's look at me, get fit like me, follow this, and this is how you can do it. But missing that real key core education and quality of not just training, but the other stuff that comes with it.
100%. I think the big disconnect is that the big difference between fitness influencers, and coaches, fitness coaches, and fitness professionals is that an influencer is there to literally influence you in some way. They are there to motivate maybe or inspire. And that's really what it comes down to. And you know what? They're marketing machines too. They're marketing machines who are there to sell products, to promote sponsorships that they're sponsored for, to make some money somehow. That's what an influencer really is. Okay. They're not a coach. Can they be a coach if they really are an expert in the field? Yes.
Yeah.
But then there's ethical issues if they're pushing products and they're trying to influence you to buy. So, there's a real big gray area, and there's many shades of that gray, and pun intended. Okay. But if you were a real professional in the industry, you're not trying to influence people. You're trying to help them. You're trying to provide actual services and actual good information that you have researched, that to be factual in nature, that is you're not going to injure them. All right. You're not someone who's promoting doing 50 reps of any given set of an exercise, because that's just nonsense. That's stupidity. No one's going to do that. And if they do, they're going to get an overuse injury. They're going to get hurt. Yet you have these people online who are promoting this nonsense, or crash diets or whatever. So getting back to what we were saying before, pitching myself, or what I do, I tell all my clients, I don't want you to be working with me forever. And I'm probably one of the very few people in the industry that will actually tell people that, because the whole industry is based on this concept of keep your clients forever, keep them paying you in perpetuity forever, because that's a great business model. Yeah, you're going to make a lot of money. You know what? There's more to this than money. Okay. It's called helping people. It's called doing the right thing. And, I say this all the time. I have to look in the mirror every day and like who I see and feel good about what I'm doing and the person that I am and the ethics and the integrity that I have.
Good point.
Because once you compromise your integrity, that's it. That's gone. Right?
Slope.
You can work your whole life to build up your reputation and get, and to be that good person that you want to be, and to build a business model that you believe in and really stands for something. One bad choice can destroy it all.
100%.
So, and I think about it with regards to my kids as well, right? I try to be a really good example for them. I try to provide a good role model. I try to be a good role model to them of how to lead their lives, how to operate and conduct themselves in life. And, they see me working all the time. I feel bad. My kids come home from school, and I work from home, obviously. And not just because of this last year, but because that's my business, right?
Yeah.
I work from my little home office here, and, in the home gym and whatever. But, they always would come and ask me, Daddy, can you come play with me? Can you do this with me? And I feel bad saying no, but, I'm working 12 to 15 hours a day on most days. I work till like midnight, and even after that, most nights, and I get up in the morning, and, I'm not a morning person. So I don't always get up at the crack of dawn. It's just not when I'm functional. I know this about myself, but I get up with a purpose, and I'm working the whole day, and I try not to be interrupted as much as possible. Of course, that happens sometimes, but I try to be that good role model for my kids to show them what it is to work hard and what it is to achieve a goal. Right. And so, and by the way, so getting to the next part, YouTube is, I feel, was like a necessary thing to do, because Instagram is a very visual platform. I'm getting back to Instagram now, but it took me a while to figure out what my proper angle on Instagram would be. And I'm figuring it out now. I think I've kind of, again, I did hire someone to help me with that, to really figure out the proper approach. And I'm almost to the point where I feel like I've got my hands around it to a decent extent, which is why I'm starting to get back to it now. But it's hard to compete against all those people who are influencers when you're really just trying to provide them with the real information. Because let's be honest, people want to hear what they want to hear. They don't want to hear what they need to hear.
Plus, they want to hear the easy stuff.
People want to hear, eat this supplement, eat this pill, and you could sit on the couch all day and burn 10 pounds of fat in a month. No, it doesn't work that way. It doesn't work that way. You still have to get up off your butt, get off the couch of doom, and eat healthy and exercise. But you have to learn what eating healthy looks like. And it doesn't look like eating a wicker basket. Eating healthy can be very tasty, can be delicious and enjoyable. It should be.
Yeah,
Everyone should, you should be eating healthy and enjoying it if you're going to be
that's true.
successful
That's
long
true.
term. So, crash diets don't work. Diets, fad diets, they're all garbage. It's about eating the right way for your situation and learning what that looks like. So that's the lack of education that most people have. But getting back to the thing with YouTube, I realized that YouTube is probably my best place to start and to stick with then, right? Because it would allow me a platform that's highly searchable where I can create video content that provides real value and real information, and in a way that's creative. Now, I never made a video in my life before this, except for really bad ones from vacations where I remember I had this like crappy old camcorder and I would bring it on vacations with me. And I would record. I had no clue what I was doing. And I would show my parents when I got home from vacation, and I would force them to watch it. And I thought it was great. And they would be like, please turn it off. This is torture. This is like cruel and unusual
Reality
punishment. You're making
versus
me sick.
expectation.
Oh, it was terrible. Terrible. I had no idea what I was doing. So when I made this declaration to my family, my wife's family, everyone, friends too, and I said, I'm going to be making high quality videos on YouTube. And everyone laughed. And they're like, you, the guy who made like the hands down the worst videos, how are you going to do that? Have you ever even videoed yourself? And I said, no, not really. I mean, I was a fitness model years ago, so I was in front of the camera, but
It's different.
it was very different. And it had been years anyway since I've done that. I mean, there's a degree of acting in that too, but I haven't done that in years. So anyway, maybe I'm looking back and I'm thinking I was probably crazy for thinking I could do this. I probably was a little crazy for thinking that, but I said, I'm going to do it. So in that year and a half of like research and development, I can't tell you, I watched over 1,000 videos, probably maybe thousands of videos. Every day I was watching videos and I was looking for what makes a video interesting, what makes a video boring, what makes it this, how can people communicate information in a productive and interesting way?
Yeah.
And what puts me to sleep and what looks crappy, like what, quality wise, and everything in between. And then I set out, once I figured that stuff out, I set out to figure out how to actually make these videos.
Yeah.
And how-to videos and whatnot. And then I figured out, okay, I need XYZ equipment. And when I finally realized, I thought I was going to have maybe my wife or other people help me video. Nope. No one wanted to be a part of it. No one wanted to kind of get behind it and help me. So I said, all right, I need to figure out how to do this by myself now.
Yep.
So I now had to figure out how to do that. That was another giant obstacle. How do you video yourself? How in the world do you do this? And so I had to figure what equipment do I need? How do I find locations? Well, I just walked into this gym down the road one day, introduced myself, and made friends with the owners. And you know what? They opened the doors to me and allowed me to film in their facility, this beautiful facility. Place is called Core Performance. Amazing place. I had to give them a little plug because they're such great people. And I really owe them a lot. And that's in Westchester County, New York, far from where you are, opposite side of the world.
It is.
But I had to stick with this idea once I committed to it, and whatever it took, I figured out how to do it. And look, I look back at my first video. At the time, I thought it was great. Now I look back and I'm kind of embarrassed of my first video.
It is great. All your videos are great. If anyone hasn't checked out the YouTube channel, make sure you do, because the quality speaks for itself. And kind of just touching on what you've just spoken about around that, you did the research to understand, well, what's out there, what's not out there. And coming back to even you creating Fitlabb, like you've got the fitness expertise behind you, you've got the education, you've got the understanding, because you've done it yourself, and you are fit, and you come across that what you need to know to get to where you need to be. So that's the easy part, because that's all, you've got that in your blood. But what I love here is that you've kind of said that, well, if you're going to go online, if you're going to go this so that anyone can do it, anyone can have access to it, YouTube's going to be your best bet, right? And to jump into that, but having no understanding, you're right, you're going to have to go put in that hard work, put in the action. Once again, coming back to that action piece, what you want, whether it's the dream, the goal, or something that you love. But then there's this whole reality of like, but you don't know how to do it. You can't do it. So how do you do it? Get out there and give it a go. And, it is speaking for yourself. And I think that's just something that is so important for people to hear, is because there's a lot of, people say, go start a YouTube channel. It's like, oh, I don't know how to film. I don't know how to do this. But Well, of course, majority of people don't. That's all part of it. When you go into business, you don't know how to do it. When you start your first job, you
Yeah.
don't know how to do your first job. You have to go in and learn. Yeah, you've done education, but it's not the same. So putting
No,
time on
it's not.
feet and putting your hands in there is going to make the big difference. And if everything was easy, everyone would be doing it.
I
And you
love that saying. It's
it's
so true.
and this is
And
what I love about it. And
well,
that's
I'll
why I want
further
people to
it.
see your video.
I'll further this in saying this: anything that's easy is not worth doing, right?
Yeah.
Because then everyone would be doing it. Everyone probably is doing
That's
things
it.
that are easy. So you have to, if something is a little more difficult, it definitely is worth accomplishing your goal by following that path that is more difficult, because it's about the journey.
Yeah.
It's about the journey and what you learn on that journey. And it makes, when you finally accomplish your end goal, it makes it that much sweeter when you succeed, right?
100%.
You've now fully earned it. So, and by the way, it makes me laugh sometimes, because I'm all about that journey and earning my stripes, right? That about YouTube, there are so many bad, like nasty trolls and comments on YouTube. My God, I heard about this beforehand. I have a friend who's a very big YouTuber, Amelia Hartford.
Yep.
She was one of the people. She was one of probably the biggest person who pushed me once I became friends with her. She has a car channel that has she's
really good. It's really good.
800,000 subscribers now. I
Yeah.
think she has about the same amount of people on Instagram. I met her when she only had about 200,000 only. Okay, that's still like crazy big. But she's been on TV shows. She was on a Netflix show, The Fastest Car. She's big time now. She's buying crazy cars and whatever. So anyway, long story short, she pushed me to do this and said, you're going to be great. You're a good person. You come across well. You speak from the heart, right? You're genuine. You have the knowledge. You got to do this. You just got to do it. And so I did, but she also warned me that there's a lot of bad trolls. You have to have thick skin. So going back, commercial real estate definitely gave me pretty thick skin, right? I had to every day I was dealing with CEOs, CFOs, the biggest landlords in Manhattan, and they were all like great white sharks. And even the other people that I was, negotiating deals against. I mean, if you've ever watched Entourage, there was, to a degree, it was almost like, you're like dealing with all these other people who were like Ari Gold and just a different business model, right? It's the same kind of business in a way, because you're representing either tenants or landlords, companies or landlords, instead of the agencies and the talent. It's otherwise same thing. But it hardened me up. It gave me a thicker skin that I didn't have before that. and I feel like it prepared me for this.
Yeah.
And one thing that I learned to do really well in commercial real estate was I learned how to think. I learned, I wasn't a bully. A lot of the other brokers trying to negotiate against me were bullies, and they felt that they could scream loud enough, if they could curse and stamp their feet and whatever, and act like a real bully, that they could win whatever points they needed on on the deals I was negotiating against them on. I believed, and successfully, rightly, was that, the way I got my points and things that I needed as negotiable points, so okay, I put in the research, and I had to be smarter than them. I had to stay, 5 or 10 steps ahead of them, and figure out where their pivot was, where they're going to try to attack next, and have counters for all those things.
Yeah.
So now I take that, it sounds ridiculous taking that to YouTube, but like, you get attacked by trolls, and I have this unique ability to turn trolls into supporters, because I kill them with kindness, and they're not expecting that. But I do get it. Oh yeah, it's the best way. And you know what? A lot of time I respond to them. They just have no proper response back. They just don't even know how to respond to what I say. But yes, people accuse me of, oh, you've just accomplished these things because you run steroids. No, I accomplished these things because I consistently worked out for 27 or 28 years now, 28 years almost now. That's why. Because I've worked out hard and smart for 28 years.
That's right.
That's why. And I'm not
putting in the reps.
Yeah, exactly. Putting in the reps consistently. And I look in the mirror like, you really think I'm on steroids? Really? I wouldn't touch that stuff with a 10-foot pole.
But this is the reality of what we're up against, right? Whether it's someone that's creating a business, someone that's trying to do a YouTube, someone that's trying to create a podcast, there's the world out there, and it's full of sharks. And coming back to, the audience that's listening, is I think it's key to understand that no matter what you get into, there's going to be situations like this as well. Maybe not at scale, or it might be smaller, or it might even be bigger. No matter what you go into, there's always going to be the haters. There's always going to be the trolls,
Yes.
because there's people that are looking at you thinking, oh, I wish I could do that, or I couldn't do that, or I couldn't show up. And
Yes.
they wish they could have. Now, at the
They're
same
making
time,
excuses
yeah,
for their
yeah,
failures by saying, well, he only did that because he cheated, or someone gave him this or ability. No, I put in the work.
yeah,
I did the research. I had the years of effort behind me already, and
100%.
all the different experiences that I had. And you know what? That's what they don't see. And any critics of me today, they just don't see what goes on behind the scenes.
No,
They might assume that, oh, I'm twiddling my thumbs, or if I go a month or two in between videos, they don't realize that each video I make, I probably put like 100 hours into
yeah,
making each one
very
now,
true.
because I'm
I
making
know
like
you
full
do.
scale movies almost. And
Yeah.
I do. I've showed
Yeah.
you a few behind the scenes things before. My timelines look like a production movie studio timeline, but and it gets a little crazy. It gets crazy, right? But you know what? That's why. So I know people who have hundreds of videos and only have 100 or 200 subscribers, and never get any traction because their videos may not be that quality. They never figured it out. They never took the time to say, okay, how do I make a quality? They didn't put the research in. They didn't put the effort in that I did. For me, I have 14 real videos, because I don't count my shorts as being videos.
Yeah.
So 14 real legit videos. And one of them, maybe only 13, because one of those 14, in that 14 is my 30-second channel trailer, which I don't know if you count that as a video either. So, all right, 13 real videos. And I'm at over 2,200 subscribers now.
Yeah.
And each of my videos gets thousands of views now. And I'm getting clients hiring me who watched my videos. So the point is that people can criticize me all they want for, oh, you don't put out that many videos. But you know what? It's the quality that's winning for me.
100%.
It's the time and the effort put into making sure that I'm putting out quality content that is truly helpful, factually accurate 100% of the time, and actually helping people.
And
so
it's that snowball effect as well.
Yeah.
It starts to speak for itself. It's organic. It's because, you've had to kind of break into something which is obviously maybe it's confused, or people aren't seeing what they think they should be seeing. I mean, so they're not seeing what they should be seeing, and they're only seeing what they think they should be seeing.
Mm-hmm.
And it's because you've had Fitlabb for what now, a year and a half, or is it 2 years?
It's been about a year. So like my first YouTube video was a year ago, almost exactly a year ago.
And that was around the same time you started, wasn't it?
Well, I launched the online platform right about this, a little bit after, maybe a month or two after was when I officially launched everything. Right. So it was last summer. I think I launched it in July. So almost a year anniversary. Now, I started the business 6 months before that or so.
Yeah. Okay.
Because I expected it to happen faster.
Yep.
And sooner than it did. Getting in front of the camera was really hard, let me tell you. And by the way, developing the website took a lot longer than I expected too, because look, I could have churned it out much faster. It could have been just like one of these run the mill, the same thing everyone else does, these crappy, poorly designed websites that never tell you really what you're even paying for. They don't tell you even what you're supposed to pay to get the service until you actually click on, okay, pay. And you're like, whoa, I didn't know that was the price.
Yeah.
Right. And you don't even know what you're signing up for. I could have easily churned out one of those regular nonsense websites, but no, I wanted to make sure everything was really high quality, and that takes time. That takes proper planning. That takes time. I originally was going to do it myself. Maybe I wasn't going to have a website in the beginning. I adapted my plans because I saw the necessity of really doing this the right way from start to finish. And I hired a team of people to put my vision in and make it come to fruition as a website and have it all functional. And I'm still adapting the website as we speak. I have a chat bot that I just incorporated.
Saw that.
I have, all these, I think it's a great tool, and it's actually, I'm getting people writing me now, actually, right. It works. And all these other little things. And by the way, and they're speaking directly to me. They probably think it's someone, IT person across the ocean. No, they're speaking directly to me with that chat bot. Or when they write an email through the website, that goes directly to me. I don't know how long that'll stay that way, but for the time being, it is. And I'm proud to be able to do that. And I enjoy it. because I'm able to add real value and provide real value to people.
100%.
So,
And so you should be. And, you've talked on the business really well. And I just kind of wanted to replay that, you've had the business. So it sounds like the business is around for a year and a half. You've had the YouTube for about a year. And though you weren't necessarily getting the views that you're getting now with the YouTube, you've probably only really taken off in the last 4 months, probably even a bit more than that, maybe 5 months.
yeah, December, it started to change a little bit, but
Yeah.
look, by
But
December
now
31st, I had 500 subscribers. Now, since January 1st, they just blasted off like a rocket ship.
And that's what we're talking about with the snowball effect. Is you've invested the time, you've invested the quality, you invested what you're passionate about, and it's speaking volumes. And now you're letting it do the talking for itself, because you don't have to put out the content, because people are seeing it and realizing, hang on, this is different, this is fresh, this is a new perspective, but it's also right. But they're needing to get that information to understand that. And I think that's what's so good about what you're creating, and why I think it's so great, is because it's coming with that passion behind what what you're envisioning and what you believe in, and it's coming out evident in the services or the content or the whatever you're creating as well. So it, once again, coming to that full circle of years of experience, now you're able to put into something which is a 10-15 minute video is quality, because you can't just do that overnight. And that comes back to that putting in the reps over time. Now I'm super anxious of time, and there's some other areas I really wanted to dive into with the business. So you've kicked off the business. It's going well. It's probably, there's probably millions of things where you want it to be. So what is the goal for it? Is there a goal of where you want it to be? And you don't have to share too much if you don't want it to share it. But at the moment, you've got a clientele, you are serving people's online. I don't know if you've got any in person, but you're also using
no one in person.
Okay, so it's all online. And so what is that now in terms of, whether you want to talk from a money perspective or you want to talk from a clientele perspective? And is there a goal in terms of where you want it to be or would like it to be?
Yeah, so good question. And look, all these things are still they're works in progress.
Yeah.
And this will constantly be work in progress, as any good business always is.
Of course.
You have to always keep adapting as time goes on in order to really figure out the best way forward. Businesses that fail to adapt are businesses planning to fail.
Yeah.
That's the way I see it. So, my original business plan looks a little different than it does now. Okay. Yep. So I'm starting to realize that, the vast majority of my clients are hiring me for, number one, weight loss.
Yep.
And number two, fitness, overall fitness, and building some muscle. But really, the main goal everyone seems to be having is weight loss. And then all the other things that stem off of that, the obvious things. But so it's something I've always, worked with a lot of, tons of clients in the past anyway, doing. So, but it's just interesting that even though a lot of my videos were more fitness related and, working out in the gym and whatnot, it's interesting to me that, well, I think it has to do with the fact that I'm very much involved on a daily basis in the weight loss community, whether it's on Facebook or on YouTube or whatever. Where I see this going, where I want it to go, I always had the vision of this being a very scalable platform that I would create. And that's why I didn't call it Aaron Maltz Fitness. That's why I didn't, call it something like that. I wanted to be very different than most people in the industry by branding it differently as Fitlabb. Right. And by the way, my kids have been begging me to tell this story of why Fitlabb, what it means. Okay. So I will say it here for the first time. So Fitlabb, fit obviously is fit, fitness, whatever. But lab, first of all, it sounds kind of cool and scientific, and that's what I'm all about the science behind fitness, right? And spitting the facts, providing real knowledge, real solid science-backed information, right? But lab, I could have spelled it the traditional way, L-A-B. I used two B's. All right, there's a lot of fit labs, brick and mortar places, but why L-A-B-B? Well, it stands for the first name of each of the people in my immediate family. My son, Liam, my name, Aaron, then Brody and Bree, my wife. So my two sons, myself, and my wife. So that's why Fitlabb, all one word. So
I didn't know that.
And no one did. I haven't spoken about it until right now. My kids were like, Dad, when are you going to say that? When are you going to tell everyone the story behind Fitlabb and the name? Well, I just did it. So I'll make them listen to this. That's
legacy right there as well. That's really cool.
Well, I always, my kids take my lead in the fitness space, right? They love being in shape. My younger son has a shirt. He goes, I get my muscles from my daddy on his shirt. And so, look, they may not do this one day, but if they choose to, at least, they know that, like, it's their namesake almost in the business. And, I look at it like it's a family friendly business as well, family friendly brand. So, and that's even in the name.
Yeah.
So that's that. And it's not about ego. It's about just doing the right thing. Right. So where do I see it going? I see this scaling. I see myself bringing on other trainers in the future, that each maybe bring something new and different to the table. I don't want to be the face of Fitlabb forever.
Yep.
I want to have other people who are real knowledgeable, real value add people who share my same values and morals and ways of doing business and coaching people, nutrition professionals as well as fitness professionals, and have them help me expand the business. I also see many other silos developing off of this. There's been a very interesting new business idea that I've even kind of been developing, just starting to develop now. It's months away from happening, but I think it's even vastly more scalable than even what I've just told you about. It's partially leveraging off of Clubhouse and off of YouTube and off of Instagram. By the way, Clubhouse is unbelievably powerful. I like that is such an amazing platform because also it does away with the whole visual aspect. You have to either add value or you're nobody there.
Yeah.
So it's all audio based. I love it. But yes, there is something big I am in the beginning stages of working on that I think is going to not only help a ton of people, but is also massively scalable and will allow me to even charge less money ultimately for a fully, like, this will be creating a whole how do I describe it? Really a supportive community that myself and the team that I'm going to have in the future helping me to run this whole thing, because that's what it will take, a team to run, but to really build this community that is so supportive. Now, I'm making a bold statement right now, but it's also to hold myself accountable because I do fully intend on creating this. And I really, truly believe this is going to be huge. And there's so many other little business silos that can stem from this as time goes on. I never looked at YouTube as the business.
Yeah.
I looked at YouTube as a value add component that would help people for free.
Yep.
And, would give people good information, act as a bit of free marketing as well. Well, free. It's really a lot of time and effort and money I put into each video. But so it's not really free, but it's free for the people who watch it.
100%.
But I think that's a necessity going forward. And at some point, I'm probably going to have someone help me start editing. I'm nowhere near there yet.
I've told you that before.
I'm still dedicated to doing this myself for the time being. I have to make sure the business supports me ever bringing on, people to help edit.
Yep.
But, it's going to be hard to give that up one day because I don't want to. But yes, I'm not focused on like monetizing my channel. I will at some point when the time's right. I'm not there yet. And I don't even think about that. That's like noise to me right now.
Okay.
Just because, look, you don't even make much money monetizing your channel until you have like 50,000 subscribers and you're getting massive views. If you have like 4,000 people subscribing to you, and you get, you might make like $100 every couple months. It's not going to pay any bills. So that's why I'm saying I'm not worrying about that. That's just, no one wants to see, commercials on your channel anyway. So they just want to hit skip and whatever and get to the meat and potatoes. But that's really where I see this going.
Okay. No, I think it's really good because you said it even before you answered the question was, unless the business is changing, it's not growing, right? So I think that's super key, and it's exciting to hear what's to come. And we've heard it here first that there is some exciting things to come. So I'll be keeping a close eye on you and watching like normal. But I encourage everyone else to go check out what you're doing and what you're creating, because you're always trying to do the next best thing to help others. And I think that's what speaks volumes and is really bold and loud here, is because that's what makes you the outlier, is because you're not there to make yours is the best, but you just get out there to say that this is the right way and this is what's backing it up with the science, and that's all evident in your videos and the content that you're putting out. Now, I'm really, really keen to get into some rapid fire questions with you because we've touched on so much, around you and your past and your business. But let's let's kind of move away from that and just some random
Sure.
rapid fire questions. And the idea is to answer them as quick as possible to keep it short and sharp. So we'll jump into that. So the first one is favorite book that you have read.
I would say I'm a nerd. Lord of the Rings trilogy.
Oh, that's cool, man. That's cool. That's good.
I'm a big nerd. I love that stuff.
That's
Love
awesome.
the movies too.
And to say that you've read it, because a lot of people just end up, watching it. But
no, I've read them all a few years ago now, but I loved those books.
So good. I've read them myself. I wasn't allowed to watch it until I read it, so I was motivated.
See, I watched the movies first, and then I read them. But I actually liked the stories better because they had many more details.
So much more detail, and that's why I liked it so much, and why I can understand the benefit of doing it. Reading it before watching the movies, because you get that context. Well, that's good to know. All right, advice you would give yourself as a teenager.
Wow. All right. I feel like this is a loaded question, and there's so many things that I would probably say. But I guess I'll keep it as simple as I can. All right. So, I mean, I'll probably forget a million things that I would say to myself back then. I think the first thing would be, don't worry about the bullies. All right. They may think they're cool at the time, but down the road, they're going to be pumping my gas when I'm the one living a good, happy, and successful life. Right. Whatever, successful, by the way, doesn't always mean money.
Yeah.
Success also means happiness and health, right? And having a good, loving family situation. So a lot of the people who were the guys who bullied me back then, not all of them, but I know a good amount of them are not exactly living the life that I am in that way.
Okay.
Right. So you know what? Looking back, when it was hard for me to see the light at the end of the tunnel, I wish I did know that then.
Yeah.
Because it's hard to see that at the time or understand that things would get better. So I would have told myself, don't worry, you got a big, bright future ahead. Just put your blinders on and focus on what's ahead. I would also tell myself back then to not let anyone get in my head and dictate to me what I should do with my life.
That's a good one.
All right. And really it's because, look, we all only get one shot to live our life. We only get one chance to do this. So we have to make sure that we are the ones who are calling the shots and not letting anybody tell us the life we need to be living. Right. So that's something I would definitely tell myself back then as well. So, and I think the last thing I would say, because, there've been many years where I worked crazy hours and I sacrificed a lot of time. I would probably tell myself, you know what, make time to enjoy your life as well. Kick back and smell the roses, so to speak, because, again, you don't get a second chance to do this.
Yeah.
So, sometimes if there's things that you want to do and you keep putting it off to tomorrow, it's not, you shouldn't always keep putting things off, because who knows what can happen tomorrow.
Yeah.
Right.
A bit of fun in this one. Someone gives you $10,000. What do you do with it?
Okay. It's a good one. I would probably reinvest half of that into my business, buying equipment or hiring someone to do some role that I need help with, whatever. I would probably spend some of it on taking my kids and my wife to like a 1 or 2 overnight thing to go somewhere that none of us have ever been and have a really nice experience. And then the rest I'd probably save.
Yep.
Invest somewhere. I don't know. That's probably what I would do. Nothing too crazy.
Cool. Favorite workout, considering that you are the fitness man. So
is all of them a valid answer? I'm kidding. No, all right. In all seriousness, look, I enjoy almost every workout as long as I'm focused and I don't get distracted by someone bothering me. Right. I'm that guy in the gym that for whatever reason, is not even in the gym, everywhere. I get people that just want to talk to me. I don't know why. I don't know if I'm I look like a happy person all the time. I don't know what it is, but in the gym, I swear I get people coming over asking me what to do or how to help them out or whatever. And it's partially my fault. Like, I just want to help people. I talk too much, as you well know. Right. So I'm partially at fault with that, but okay. No, if I had to really pick one workout that I really like, my favorite one, it's probably chest and back workout. I do both together. So that would be it.
Okay.
And then, and any workout where people leave me alone.
How do you spend your free time?
What is free time? What's free time? I don't even know.
I know a few things that you like to do.
Yeah. So what? All right. What I would probably do, what I do in my free time, yeah, spend time with my kids, my wife, work in the garden. I really enjoy that. I find that to be very relaxing,
Yeah.
grounding type of experience. So I get some of my best thoughts when I do that. Play video games, even though I haven't done that in God knows how long. It's like a big thing I love to do. I just never have time. I love driving my cars,
Yeah.
even though I rarely do it. I love racing cars on actual like road courses.
Yeah.
I do that once or twice a year now, but it is a blast. If you ever get a chance to do that, take it. It's incredible. I don't know. I like going for bike rides, working out,
Yeah.
watching movies. That's about it. Walking my dog and watching my aquariums. That's really it.
Yeah. No,
I
that's
mean, I could
good.
go on and on, but that's about it. I'm not a
Yeah.
big golf guy or any of that other stuff.
That's all good. Favorite sneaker, because I know you are a big sneaker fan.
Jordan, well, I love Jordan ones, but my favorite one is probably the Obsidian UNC colorway.
Okay, I have no idea what it is, but for anyone that's listening, go check it
I'll
out.
send
And
you a picture. I'll
I'm
send you a
sure
picture
I'm
after
sure
this.
it's something which is extravagant and out there, because I know
It's
your
a good, it's a
shoes.
good color.
And the final rapid question would be favorite quote.
Okay. I love this one. And I'm going to be a bit tacky here because I'm going to quote myself. I'm sorry. No, actually, it's important because it's
That's fine,
the
man.
way I live my life and what I really want to impart on people who are listening. And it's really this: we all have 24 hours each day. The difference between success and failure is how we all choose to use that time. That's really it.
Yep, 100%.
So,
And you've alluded to that the entire of this episode, right? Which which is nice. Coming full circle, we've had that line between the whole thing, which I think is so important because whether it is as simple as putting in the daily reps, whether it is as simple as taking action or as big as taking action, and that comes with bold steps. It comes with big goals, big dreams, and big ideas. And you didn't know that you were going to be here 20, 25 years ago, but you started something which has enabled you to get to here, and you've put in the daily work, the daily consistency to get there, which I think it speaks volumes in everything that you've shared, and it makes sense that that would be your favorite quote.
I just thought it was also very appropriate. I think it speaks to the fact that, look, we all have the same ability to do anything we want in life, and and any excuses that we make is just noise. It's just noise, right? I'm no more able to be successful than you or you over me.
Yeah.
It just depends on what we're each strong in or weak doing, and we can all make our weaknesses into our strengths. It just takes time, effort, and consistency.
That's it.
So that's really what it comes down to.
Well, everyone, you've heard it here. We've discussed so much, and I'm very honored to have Aaron on this episode, just because he's such a great guy. He's got such a good background and history, and he's he's got the fast cars, he's got all the fast stuff, but at the same time, he's just down to earth, and he's the everyday guy, just like you and me. And I think it's important for people to hear your story, and that's why we've gone through it, because you're just someone else that's had a dream, and you've gone through it, you've experienced life, and now you're later into the game, but you're doing what you love and you're passionate about it. And I think that's the real big key takeaway for me, is that it doesn't matter how old you are, how young you are, find what is your passion, what you love, and get to it. And I think that's been really evident in this conversation with you, mate. So I wanted to give you the chance to, if there's where should people go to find your content? Where's the one place, two places, where would you like them to go?
Number one, Fitlabb.com. That is my website, and Fitlabb is Fitlabb, two B's at the end.com. That's my website. Really will give you all the background and any information you ever want to know about me, my business, and how I can help you. Number two would be YouTube, which again is very simple, Fitlabb, right? You got the spelling already. I'm very proud of my YouTube channel and the value that I bring there. And also, my Instagram as well, at @the_Fitlabb.
Yeah.
For now, may change in the future, but we'll see. But for now, that's what it is. But yeah, no, that's where you can find all my relevant content and future stuff as well.
Awesome.
So
it's all in the show notes, folks. So go check it out. And I 100% encourage, even if you're not into fitness, if you're not into any of that jazz, go check out the YouTube channel because you will learn more than one or two things. And, I'm not one to be hitting the gym, but go watching Aaron's content and I'm like, wow, okay. It's very science backed. It's got all the information and all the right information, and you'll see the quality of just the overlays, the information that you're putting into that. It really does help you come to a place and learn really, really quickly with no, prior understanding. So it
Thank you. I
speaks for
try to
itself.
make it fun to watch too.
Oh,
I
it is
really do.
fun
I
too,
try to
mate.
add a little humor here and there. I
It
try to make
is.
it enjoyable.
And if you stick around to the end of the episodes, he's
Oh
always
yeah.
got the bloopers as well. So it's always a good giggle. But no, Aaron, it's been an absolute pleasure having you on here, mate. I do appreciate your time. I know it's late there as well. And, I think we've already said what I've taken away from this, and I've been really encouraged, and I'm always motivated and inspired by what you're doing. And I hope the audience have taken something of the similar away from this. And if not, let us know in the comments, folks, and give us your feedback. But dude, really do appreciate you being here. It's been so good.
Hey, I appreciate you having me here. And I will say this, you're one of the best guys I know. And I greatly appreciate the friendship. One of the best things that came out for me personally from my time on YouTube was meeting amazing people and amazing friends like yourself. And for that, I'm truly grateful. I'm honored to call you a good friend at this
100%.
point. And
Thanks, man.
really, you've been such a positive force. And I mean it when I say this. I look forward to your videos. I really, it like puts a smile on my face when I watch your content. Not only because I know you and I know what a great guy you are and your intention and whatever, but it's just I really am grateful, honestly, for the friendship that I have with you now, and you inspire me as well. So, I
Thanks, man.
thank you very much.
It's a bromance right here. I appreciate it. Likewise, man. It's been really great getting to know you, and I think that's what's also really cool about doing this kind of conversation and having conversations with people. Because for everyone, if they don't know, we Aaron and I, we met via YouTube, just having conversations in a community, and that's now we've got that really good friendship, and we have chats all the time, and talk
Even though
behind
we're
the
across the
scenes.
whole world.
And yeah, exactly. We've never met in person, but it feels like we've known each other for ages. So that's another big encouragement for people is have the conversations with people, whether it is maybe you just need some help or you need to have a conversation, or you are just looking for friends. Reach out, leave a comment to someone if you're watching on YouTube, and you just never really know how much of an impact that will make, or how much that will have an impact to yourself. So it's worked out really good for us. So really do appreciate it, mate. It's been an honor, and appreciate you being here.
Likewise.
Cheers. Well, there you go, folks. What an absolute awesome episode. I mean, I love this episode simply because it's just like catching up with my mate and having a conversation. But the key takeaway that I have found in this episode is really what I kind of alluded to at the start, was about the consistency, about showing up and putting in the hard work, and I guess putting in the reps and bringing value to other people. Now, Aaron, he's doing so many different things, and he's done so many different things in his life as well. But I think what is so evident is that he is willing to put in the hard work to ensure he's getting that broader lifestyle gain of happiness, but also putting in, making sure he's bringing his 110% A game in all that he's doing, and being able to serve other people, whether it's via his YouTube community, via his Fitlabb business, or just as, an everyday person. So I hope you've been encouraged by this episode, and you've taken something away. I do encourage you to go over to his socials, go over to his YouTube channel. If you haven't checked it out already, you will not be disappointed. He is all about fitness, but he brings a lot of fun, humor, and really great value in helping you understand what it really does take to get into the gym and really build out the body. So lots to think about and take away from this episode. I've enjoyed it. Aaron, really do appreciate you coming on, mate. It's been an absolute honor to have you here. My name's Chris Furlong. I'm the host of the Further Your Lifestyle podcast, and it's been an absolute honor to bring this conversation to you. You have a wonderful day.